A lot of offices are still empty, and it's becoming a major risk for the economy. The next big issue with the economy may be lurking in corporate towers across the country's downtown districts. With many people still working from home, companies are cutting back on so much office space that it threatens to unleash even more headwinds for the U.S. economy. An unraveling of the office sector spells trouble not only for banks that are owed an estimated $1.2 trillion in outstanding office loan debt, but also for countless small businesses that depend on white collar customers, as well as cities that depend on the property taxes tied to office buildings. It's a troubling development for the commercial real estate industry at a time when the U.S. economy is already showing signs of stress and maybe even a recession. Here are some of the ways America's empty offices are possibly hurting the economy further. Landlord defaults and foreclosures. Nearly 20% of office spaces are currently empty across the United States. It's a milestone that exceeds the vacancy rate during the 2008 global financial crisis. And it's worse in places like San Francisco and downtown Los Angeles, where more than a quarter of offices are sitting empty. If companies continue to use up their leases and if demand for office space remains sluggish, it's going to be harder to keep up with commercial loans, according to analysts. Many of the loans are coming due in the next year, and building owners will need to refinance their debts at a time when low occupancy has eroded building values and interest rates have shot up. That means many landlords could soon be settled with significantly steeper payments. Analysts say it could end badly. Oh yeah, the banks are going to get those buildings back. I'd say the number one implication is going to be defaults and foreclosures, says Kenneth Rosen, chair of real estate research firm Rosen Consulting Group. Banks will feel the pain. Increased defaults and foreclosures would likely send tremors across the U.S. banking system. A bulk of the $1.2 trillion in office space debt is owned to smaller regional banks, which are already in turmoil from depositors fleeing to bigger banks. Over the past 2 months, three smaller banks have failed. The trouble has continued to spread as shares for PacWest Bancorp took a hit last week. If office landlords can't make good on their loans and ultimately hand over the keys, banks would need to find new buyers. A tough task when interest rates are high, credit is tightening, and concerns about the economy grow. We're going to finish this up in part 2. In a report published Monday last week, the Federal Reserve said it has increased and expanded its scrutiny of commercial real estate loans and the banks that commonly issue them. The fallout could upend city centers. Soaring vacancies are already upending the ecosystems of downtown city centers. Dry cleaners, shoe shiners, restaurants, and convenience stores that have long depended on heavy 5-day-a-week foot traffic are struggling to survive. Right now, I'm getting maybe 4 or 5 customers a day, says James Wallace Sears, owner of a shoe repair shop in downtown Los Angeles, adding that his monthly sales are down 85% from before the pandemic. I'm here to starting up again to see if it's still going to work. And for local governments, high office vacancies will mean a drop in property tax revenues, which will burn a hole in city finances. Landlords are desperately searching for solutions. The commercial real estate market has few good options. Some landlords are exploring ways to convert their office buildings into apartments, which would help relieve housing shortages, but not all businesses or buildings can transform seamlessly without significant retrofitting and expensive reconstruction. And that's a major undertaking, given the tightened lending conditions and greater borrowing costs. Cushman and Wakefield is offering helicopter tours of new offices in downtown Los Angeles. Built on a very expensive bet that high amenity spaces with edgy restaurants, luxe fitness centers, on-site childcare, and breezy workspaces will be enough to lure companies and workers back. So far, demand for those higher-end spaces appears promising, but committing to them at a time of great economic uncertainty is a gamble, one that analysts don't believe will be large enough to save the office sector. A more surefire solution is one that many workers seem unwilling to consider: an end to remote work and an aggressive full-bore return to the office. Barring that, the cities and businesses that once flourished because of white-collar workers stand to flounder and even fail without them. And that's kind of the thing here. This is just a natural course. If they can't turn those buildings into apartments, then nobody's going to be working in them. Nobody wants to commute and go to the office unless they hate being at their house because like they hate their families or they're a narcissist and they need more narcissistic supply. And that's easier to get if you're a boss and your employees have to give it to you or you can fire them. Or yeah. So it's kind of yeah, nobody cares other than the people that can't do anything about the thing that's coming. They could try to force companies to bring people back into the office, but that's just making a soft layoff happen and sending their best talent, especially the best white collar talent, to companies with flexible working options.